Hey everybody, your favorite outlaws and misfits are back, and also the Legends of Tomorrow show as well. We're breaking down season 4, episode 9, Lucha de Apuestas. We're going to talk about luchadors, snickerdoodles, and somebody's wolfing out. We're going to talk about it all next.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Legends of Tomorrow After Show, breaking down every episode of the Legends of Tomorrow show, airing now at 8 p.m. on the CW on Monday nights. Yeah. I'm Frank Moran.
I'm Dave Child.
Look at that. And
we're here. We're back.
yes, our third panel mate, Lex Michael, is going to be on a rotating basis for the remainder of the season.
He's going to be there. He's going to be everywhere that you believe in him. If you believe in Lex Michael, he'll appear.
That's right. Yep. Just to say his name 3 times.
Yeah, he's the candy man.
Oh, baby.
That's what he is.
There you go. But as always, folks, like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and hop in the chat. Share your thoughts about anything we're talking about, this episode in particular, or this series in general. But we're going to be talking about the episode. We'll also, we'll talk about, if I've got some beef, or maybe I'm not the only one on this panel who has some beef. That's right.
It's coming up.
That's right. So before we get into the episode in specific, Dave, what did you think overall?
I liked it. I feel like they got told they made this episode and they didn't realize it was going to be the beginning of this weird second half of the season.
You think so?
That's what bothered me the most.
Okay.
About the episode, because the last episode was really great, and I think they wanted to end on like a super strong note because it was all about like the Constantine kind of like redoing like the timelines over and over again, and it was super fun. But this had the feeling of like, I don't know, it felt like stuff from the previous part of the season was lingering, and so they had to finish it off, and I kind of wish there was some sort of palate cleanser in the beginning of this. Something to get into it, because it drops us right into the middle of like, they're taking the puppet away. We still hear Paul Rubin's voice as it's getting taken away, and then we also have like, and then we have to deal with the fact that the Copay has been, and it's going to be all about the Copay, which was set up in the previous episode, and I kind of felt like it didn't. There wasn't. It was almost felt like a part 2 in a lot of ways, and it was weird to drop into the middle of that.
Well, I mean, and I guess, I don't know how much of it is also, it's been almost 4 months.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I almost thought like, oh, this is season 5.
Yeah.
And then I remembered, oh no, this is season 4.5 is what we're about to watch.
It is a long gap, and it's almost like pretty much the gap here is going to be just as long as the gap between the end of the season and the beginning of next season.
Yeah.
In the fall.
So it's like a mini season.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted a season opening. That's what I wanted, and I didn't get that. I got like an episode in the middle of the season that made me go like, "Oh, I should have rewatched the previous episode right before I watched it." And
well, it does, because I know when we talked about the Constantine episodes, the one big thing was we never really addressed what happened to Mona, because we saw that she had gotten gored by the Copay before he took off on accident.
Right.
But then everything just kind of moved past that after the timeline reset itself. We're like, wait, what happened to Mona?
Yeah, and we weren't very sure, and they were leaving it for this episode. That's why I guess it was like a part 2 for the B plot that's about to become the A plot.
Yeah.
So that's why it was a little strange.
Well, it was interesting is before we break down the episode here, there was an article on TV Line where they talked to the executive producer of Legends of Tomorrow and Phil Klemmer, and they said that they did a little change of heart in terms of this season, and I don't know how much of that was over the nice long break that they had. They kind of reevaluated what they had and kind of are now kind of tweaking it, or they had realized it sooner and have tweaked it more. But basically, originally, good old Tom Wilson was, or I should say Hank's dad, was supposed to be the big bad. But then they cast Tom Wilson, and they go, man, he's really good in this part, and we really like what he's bringing to it. We don't want to make him to be the big bad.
But right now he is the big bad.
They're transitioning it from him being the big bad to just working for the big bad and not realizing that this big bad is truly the big bad.
Okay. So kind of becoming kind of what Ava is in this episode.
Yes.
Kind of. Okay.
So they are doing a big transition from that, as well as with Nate's story arc as well, because originally it was that to win his father's approval, he was going to start falling more in line with his dad when he's originally going to be the big bad. You're going to start seeing the evil side of Nate come out. But then they decided it'd be more interesting to see a father affected by his more hippie type son.
Right.
And have that softening. And they said that would be the more interesting story beat to play, which then coincided with, wait, now we've got Tom Wilson. Let's kind of refigure this whole thing out. So, yeah. So because of that, we're going to see a totally different story arc for Nate as well as our big bad for this season.
Yeah, I actually got the sense of that because now they're introducing Zari as a potential love interest for Nate.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like because I had not really noticed anything with him before until this episode. All of a sudden, it was like the date. Although I guess she did spend.
Why would we ever date? Why would we suddenly have a date? And I was like, oh, I guess. All right. Did they have chemistry before? Am I just forgetting that?
Because she spent Thanksgiving with him, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that was like the initial kind of kernel you could build this off of, I suppose.
I guess.
But in that episode, you didn't notice anything, and it wasn't until this one you're like,
this felt a little like Hawk Girl and
Ray?
Yeah, and Ray. It felt a little like out of nowhere, just trying to put these two people together. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I could be totally wrong.
But
maybe I have to rewatch episodes.
No, I would agree with you because it felt like out of kind of nowhere to this.
Yeah.
They were kind of like, no, it's not a date.
It's not a date. I mean, it could be the start of something. It was kind of nice. It was actually kind of nice to give Zari something a bit more active to do. That's something that I think I've talked about in the past, but it's I'm curious to see where they go with it.
I think I like this better than the Hawk Girl Ray because you always knew
it is
Hawkman
better than that.
Was always going to be the end game for that.
Right.
So it was like, why are we wasting time with this?
Right.
But we know, we got Vixen she's gone. She's not coming back.
Yeah, but someone with her face is around, but it'll be weird if he starts with her. So it is kind of nice that he's moving on.
Yeah.
And it's just another workplace romance, I suppose.
Well, this one gives us, I know, you are a huge fan of luchador wrestling.
Uh-huh.
Yep, I know.
I mean, I wouldn't say a huge fan. I respect it.
I mean, huge. I mean, I had to talk Dave down for us to do wearing the show in our luchador masks.
That is very true.
It's like, no, Dave, please. They want to see our handsome faces. Let's not.
Well, not just because I always want to wear a mask. I never want people to know who I am, really. And in a way, I do wear a mask. It's just on the inside.
Oh,
it's over my heart.
Oh, no.
It's a mask over my heart.
Oh, no.
This was kind of nice because it was like, I think they were referencing El Santo, right? It was without mentioning El Santo.
Yeah.
Who's kind of one of the most famous luchadors. I do know a little bit about luchadors. Who's one of the most famous luchadors of, I think it's El Santo. I'm probably, tell me how wrong I am, because it probably is very wrong. Who became like a movie star and became like pretty famous. What I was curious about was what was with the outfits for the luchadors. Why the full body like latex outfits? They didn't wear stuff like that. They're like their shirts were off.
But not all of them, were they?
Yeah, or they had like straps or something.
Yeah,
but
like the wrestling singlets kind of.
Every single person had this full body outfit. So I was wondering if it was like, it must have been like we can't show any nipples, including male nipples. So keep those things hidden up.
I mean,
cover
Gary's
up the whole thing.
got one of his nipples eaten.
That's true. So maybe that's what they reached their nipple quota. For like enough with the nipple references. He's about to say "Where's my nipple" several times, but I don't see any proof of anyone having a nipple in this episode. That was my biggest problem.
CW laying down the law. All right, Legends writers, you get one nipple.
We've been too nipple focused on this show. We need to focus up a little bit.
When it comes to wrestling, I mean, because I feel like the thing that's cool about lucha wrestling is that it can get, even though there's storylines in both American wrestling and lucha wrestling, the lucha wrestling can get bonkers.
It can get crazy.
Yeah, you can bring in the supernatural and all this stuff. And I feel like there's some fun elements of that, it's like I don't know if it almost feels like you're playing a bigger story and it's just really bonkers.
Yeah. It gets really involved and convoluted, the storylines. But that's what I like about, one of the things I liked about this episode was that was the big complaint from the our main luchador there who was supposed to become famous. He said this other guy is not letting him lose when when Konani becomes like the luchador, the
El Lobo, yes.
El Lobo, he's not like letting anyone lose. He's not letting himself lose, like, at all. So there's no storylines happening. There's nothing that happens. So a big complaint about wrestling and why people love wrestling is it's not fake. It's just planned. So people get hurt. People do their stunts. They do their outfits. They do enough that, like, bruises happen. Like, people roll on to tacks. They do all of that stuff, and that's all real. It's just the outcomes that are planned ahead. So that's why it's fake or not fake. It's all planned. And the fact that El Lobo's not letting that happen at all is like, it has got to be putting a wrench into the whole system.
Well, having it explained like that kind of really like, oh yeah, I guess I knew that, but never really thought about it in that way. Where the losing is a vital part of the storyline because you want to see that rise.
Yeah, heroes got to lose in order to become a hero.
Yeah, and sometimes I forget about that, and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess it's you can't win all the time; it gets boring.
That's a good thing to remember in life, kids. Sometimes you do have to lose in order to win.
There you go.
If you win all the time, it's not winning. It's just maintaining a normal, and you're just dying inside. And if you lose a little bit, then you have something to hope for, something to wish for, a love to find.
I want to see. I wish we had a star that would just kind of soar over Dave's head right now. Somewhere there is some young kid staying up way too late watching this.
Watching the after show and be like, I just want some bit of hope and to find out what these people think about my favorite TV show. Finally, I get 2 of that things tonight.
They snuck their parents' iPad away into the bedroom underneath the blankets. They got the light illuminating, and there they are watching Dave Child.
You're welcome, Timmy.
That's right. Telling him some essential life truths.
Yeah, that's for you, Timmy.
So it looks like this episode here with Mona, we're kind of taking her from just kind of a background, a very, very background secondary character, and really injecting her a lot more into the core cast.
Way more than I thought we were going to. If we want to jump to the end, but like I was kind of shocked by this twist at the end.
Yeah,
that got me. I did not expect that. Like I didn't think the Cope has some werewolf abilities, and obviously it does. But what I liked about that was I was getting used to her as a fun Gary type character, like someone who shows up and is fun and then kind of goes away, and maybe she has a bit too much of an attraction to a furry individual, and that's cool and fun and has this Beauty and the Beast thing. I did not expect her to get superpowers, which is where they ended up with it.
Yeah, it is interesting because if you look at the Cope, I mean, seeing him in his state, but seeing what happens to Mona, that due to the clawing that she
clawing,
gets.
I guess, right? That must be it. I mean, it also happened after he died, so maybe there's some transference there that happened. But like maybe the combo of the two.
That's true, because it definitely felt like she needed that like kind of emotional rage or something like that to really bring it out.
She basically hulked out there,
Yeah. Where it's, I mean, I guess for her, it's like very much like a werewolf kind of transformation.
Right.
So I was like, but is the Cope, does he have a human form and is just only choosing to be this the whole time? Or
no, I think that's him. I think that's who he is. That's just him 24/7.
And then whatever he passes on will make you just change from human to that.
Right. So maybe she's something else. She's not quite, she can turn into a Cope, but she doesn't have that. She's not going to be that 24/7. Or maybe she'll discover that there's a ability that she has the danger of turning into the Cope, like slowly transforming into that 24/7.
What do you think right now, just speculation for the rest of the season here, the odds are that she stays longer than this season?
That's hard to say, because I think she's part of this is the Critters season, right? So she's now one of the Critters, and she's joining the as one of the Critters. She's gonna kind of become a legend, I think, this season. But also she's going to be used as a MacGuffin, because I think now that she has these abilities, she's going to be the person that the Men in Black are after, the kind of dark side of the time bureau. So that's my guess about where we're headed, where she's going to be someone they have to defend, someone they have to save, but at the same time, they could use her as part of the team.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see her injected into the team, because it's like we don't have really any other kind of the comic book equivalent to that kind of character in there.
And we kind of, Buns of Steel is like, his buns are on an office chair most of the time now.
Yeah.
So those buns aren't out and fighting their way.
And given what
I miss those buns.
I miss those buns too as well.
Yeah.
And I guess now hearing what their original plan for the season was, I guess you understand why they kind of sidelined Nate to put him just there with his dad all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that now that they've kind of changed track on that they
maybe those buns will come out.
let's dust those buns off.
Dust those buns off, and the buns of steel really have to fight it.
That's right.
Best way of describing
Yes.
this character.
So again, we've got the Time Bureau. Let's break down the Time Bureau as just an organization.
Yeah.
Certainly, we had Rip Hunter's various first incarnation, where he had the Time Masters, kind of a corrupt organization that just ended up kind of imploding, and then Rip Hunter says, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to start the Time Bureau, kind of do it how it's supposed to be in the right way." And
then the government found it.
and we're all mixed up with just like another kind of evil kind of conspiracy lying within it.
Bureaucracy. It takes every hero down. But yeah, it's they're stuck with doing what the government wants, and I think they're dealing with the same sort of alien shenanigans like from the Alien universe, how they're always trying to get the aliens and turn them into monsters and turn them into tools. This is basically what they're doing as they're going through time, finding these critters and monsters. They want to turn them into tools and assassins for the government.
But there's also a part of me that seems like, gosh, this is almost
That's the
getting to
Men
be
in Black side of it.
yeah, like getting to be like 24. Like every season of 24, you knew there was going to be some mole within the department that was going to be working against cross purposes against everybody.
But has there been a mole in the Time Bureau?
Well, but there was just like some bad presence in there. And I'm not saying that there's
right.
But in the sense where like every season you realize, okay, something's going on. So I feel like this season
before it was just like, you're not following the rules. You're messing up.
all right.
So that's why you're not. That's why we got to stop you, because you're just loose cannons. You're a bunch of loose cannons, and that's still kind of the case. And you kind of feel like if Ava was totally in charge of everything would be fine.
You
But
think?
why, dude? What's your beef with Ava?
I got a beef. I'm going to share it with you right now.
Are we at? Where's the beef?
That's right. So one beef that I'll get right now, because I know also Dave Childs, you got some beefs as well.
Yeah.
But I'll start the opening beef salvo. I'll serve it up first.
Okay, and let's see if I can eat it, or
right.
if I'll reject this beef.
So we've got Ava and Sarah basically working at cross purposes this episode. And it kind of leads to a breakup by the end. Or, well, I don't know necessarily a breakup, but at least a halting of their relationship at that point. And they kind of both express their points of view. And I feel Ava, I don't buy that, she's just a dupe. She's just a dupe, and I don't find that she has a really good leg to stand on.
But here's the thing. She was lied to, and that's what bothers her. She feels like she's constantly being manipulated and not being she's never hearing her girlfriend be very honest with her. She's always discovering stuff that's happening behind her back, and nothing that she's cued in on or brought in on. She has to discover it and then hide it from her boss and have to deal with this loose cannon, and I think she's getting a little tired of that.
But also I'm thinking, like, say Sarah had just been direct with her and said, hey, guess what? I've got Mona and I've got the Cope here on the Wave Rider. There's some shenanigans going on. We shouldn't bring the Cope back. But Ava's already said, like, no, bring him in and then we'll deal with everything.
Right.
So I feel like I feel like there's a certain amount of, like, given everything she's experienced, like, why are you being so rigid with the rules? I don't understand.
Right. Well, I guess she doesn't have proof that this is the case, that it's going. It seems like the only thing they can rely on is what Mona has said. So she's looking at the proof, and she believes in her work and her boss and the system. So she wants to believe that the system is right, and she doesn't want to break the system, because the system is all that she has, except for her relationship.
I mean, I guess if you look at Ava's past, I mean, coming up that she is just a kind of a clone. Of hundreds of who knows how many clones have been made of her. Going out of that kind of weird kind of background to get some kind of anchor, and I guess whether
The only
like
stability that she has is her work. That's her life. That's her life until she fell in love. So that love is coming into conflict with what her life usually is and what always was. So that's why she's kind of so rigid. And I think she doesn't want to believe that she's working for a bad guy. So she's like fighting against that as much as possible.
Yeah, it's just I know, especially reading an article about that the show wanted to kind of really have valid arguments for both sides, but I felt Ava's was a little weaker. I really couldn't buy hers as much as I could buy what Sarah was doing.
Right. But at the same time, it's like, from her perspective, like this Wolfman escaped. Why are you letting? What I don't understand is why she sent in a bunch of like people in suits to kind of take down publicly, take like the Kopay. That doesn't seem like a very subtle move, and something that she often criticizes like the Legends for being is not subtle. And when she's sending in people that look like government officials, look like American government officials, coming in and taking down someone who's like, if we have found out, starts a bad political like universe, like timeline, if he isn't there, and coming in and everything kind of gets messy after that. I feel like that was a mistake on her part.
It felt weird for Ava, for somebody whose job as a time bureau is to maintain the sanctity of the timeline, to not realize that, oh yes, this fight needs to happen to preserve the timeline and history of Mexico.
Feels like she should have been. What I guess I don't understand is, like, I guess they really wanted to, but this is what tends to happen with TV that always kind of annoys me, is they have to manufacture some sort of riff between a relationship that you're rooting for, because it gets a little stale if they don't have conflict halfway through. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what they're leading to. But I mean, I think it would make more sense with her character if she fought the Bureau from sending in those people. Like the Men in Black should have taken over at that section rather than have her send those people in.
It was interesting because at the end of the episode, when Sarah comes with her apology snickerdoodle cookies, which, you know, at least eat the snickerdoodle cookies first. That's another beef I've got. Somebody brings you cookies to apologize, eat the cookies first.
Eat the cookies at the very least. Yes. If you're gonna break up with someone, still eat the cookies.
Yeah,
that's what I say. That's our second message. If you're gonna break up with someone, still eat their cookies.
That's right. But it ends up having like a kind of a philosophical disagreement about the monsters. Right. Where, given what we've seen the Legends experience, especially when they found, what's her name? That looks like Vixen. I can't remember her name. Yes. But it realizing that we can't just assume all these monsters are evil. How dare you. And we can't send them all back to hell. Yeah. So we also have to realize that even though it's like labeling it's seeing everybody within the larger group that they were in, associating, right, treating it as a stereotype. I feel like Sarah did not have that conversation with Ava, because Ava's bridge viewpoint is like pre-meeting that person for Sarah, because she's like, they're all evil. I mean, if we're looking for ways to try to stop these monsters, then he should be able to do this. I don't know what the big issue is. Right.
I mean, she tends to stay in the office. Well, but not recently. She's been gallivanting around with them. That's what she says in the beginning. Yeah. So I don't know. It's like, well, at the same time, but yeah, some monsters are good, but some monsters are bad. And this is a wolfman. Like, I would assume a wolfman's bad. It would take a while for me to... I don't quite have the Mona... I think most people won't have the Mona, like, furry love that's happening there.
Although, I guess you look at... He was in ancient Hawaii, it seemed to be, where he had his kingdom. But for all intents and purposes, the timeline is still fine now. So him being back there in the past seemed to really have no...
Right. I mean, what they're getting to is, if they put him where they should be, it's not going to affect time. Not that much.
Yeah, and certainly every monster is different. I mean, we certainly saw like the Salem witch trials, having the fairy godmother there, that definitely gave a different outcome. So there are monsters that keeping them where they're at currently could be bad.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you can make an argument that you can find the fairy godmother's place in time and put that fairy godmother there, and maybe it won't be so bad if you put her in medieval times or something, wherever she comes from. But like maybe the unicorn, for instance. Take the unicorn out of Woodstock and put it into a place where it's like kind of supposed to be. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad. But we're also dealing with people that are coming out of a hell prison, so there's always that weird consideration that did they belong in the hell prison or did they not?
You know what, Dave? Before we get into our next topic or our next beef, because I'm looking forward to hear what kind of beef you have. I feel like there's some words of wisdom that we should share with our.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What are they?
Oh, well, folks, we just want to say thank you so much for making us the ESPN TV Talk. We love doing the show. We do so many great shows here at AfterBuzz.
That's true.
Yes, but we're also asking now for a little bit of help. So we're asking if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe and give it a like right there. If you're listening on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. But no matter where you are watching or listening, just leave a comment and get involved in the conversation.
I mean, come on, why not?
Absolutely. Being part of AfterBuzz has been meant a lot for not only just Dave and myself, but everybody else who works here and does after shows.
Yep.
Yeah. In fact, it brought Dave Child into my life.
Yeah, we wouldn't be friends otherwise.
That's right. There you go. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to do what we love and continue to enjoy our shows.
Thank you for our friendship.
That's right. That's right. Look at that.
You caused this friendship to happen, and I hope you feel good about it. And at the very least, say, leave a comment that says "Bless Frank and Dave's friendship," and we'll know that you listened to this episode.
I laid out one beef, and I do have another one set to go. But do you have a beef as well?
I've kind of already mentioned. I kind of pre-beefed.
You don't want to.
You don't want to pre-beef, but I do think that I felt like the costumes didn't feel like they were very luchador. I felt like they were weird spandex costumes that it's very strange that they went that direction. It was actually kind of a big beef of mine was that we saw no nipples or they felt like they couldn't do the straps. They couldn't I don't know. They just didn't feel very luchador costumes to me. They didn't feel like wrestling costumes. They felt like something else. And I also felt like this should have been the episode before the mid-season break. I think if this ended before the mid-season, if it ended with, oh crap, there's a new monster and maybe a new addition to the team. This quirky girl that like Mona that we've been following is suddenly has superpowers. And also the relationship we're really rooting for suddenly has a riff in it, and we don't know if those people are gonna come back together. That's a great now we have to wait 4 months until we find out. And I'm guessing the next episode isn't going to feel like a part 2. It isn't going to feel like, anyways, about that B story from the last episode. It felt awkward in the beginning of this. And maybe I could be wrong. We'll see next episode if it was good.
I think I agree with you, because then the other thing that would have been exposed for a potential mid-season finale would have been the Legend starting to figure out that Hank is up to no good as well.
Yeah. And the Men in Black are really becoming a force now that they have to fight. They're like the big bad, whoever the Men in Black are. And right now we think it's Hank, and we get our little bit of Neuron, who's in the form of John's former boyfriend. Right.
Just kind of peeps up at the big gala that they're at for a hot second.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He just looks there menacingly, or kind of sexily menacingly, and then walks off.
Right, that's right. I might have looked away from the screen for that moment. Oh, right, Neuron. That's why we ended in the last one, is because they were trying to set up Neuron. I guess that is weird that we don't even really get to him except for a sexy glance.
Yeah, that was it. He was just like, okay, I'll see what's up.
Oh, yeah.
My other beef for this is that it's Legends of Tomorrow. It is a DC superhero show. And watching this episode, it was just like, man, I remember when this show used to be a lot more colorful and crazy with the costumes and the superheroics.
Well, that's why I felt like it was a weird mid-season one. I think this could be in the middle of a season and feel okay. But for Legends of Tomorrow, the only time it felt like Legends of Tomorrow to me, which was maybe one of the best moments, was the Ava and Lance dance. Mm-hmm. It was the tango, them having an argument but tangoing very well, and that was fun and that was cute,
and each taking turns to lead as well.
Yeah, that was a really nice moment. That would be a moment that if you put it in any other of the superhero CW shows, it would feel awkward and weird, but in this one it just feels goofy and fun, and it's perfect for this. And same with the luchador wrestling. That's fun, that's good there. I liked one thing we did talk about is Ray's card game. I really hope they're just setting up merch that we could just get.
Cards Against the Timeline?
Yeah, I want that game. I want to see how to play that game. I want to figure that out. I'll play that game. And that all of that stuff was fun, but I felt like it wasn't goofy enough. I want like a Bebo episode,
Because I feel like the only
That's
one
what I missed from Legends.
Yeah, the only one we really see in costume, I feel like this whole season really is just Ray, and that's only when he gets in the Atom suit.
Yeah.
But other than that, you don't really see anybody get into costume, which I don't know.
Well, except for Constantine, he's always in costume.
Yeah, there you go.
That is a costume. It's a
It is
good
not.
costume.
It is not a costume. It's just his clothes that he wears.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to wear that the trench coat everywhere he goes. That's a costume.
What? No, he likes it. That's just like, you have your favorite outfit.
It's a costume.
You could wear it every time.
Do you have to have them be like, now put on the costume? If they're wearing one outfit every single day, that's a costume. None of the other characters, I will give you, wear costumes because they don't wear the same outfit every single day. I do miss like Lance and her outfit. I do miss all of that stuff. But like, I feel like Constantine is in his costume 24/7. That's just who he is.
Come on, I feel like he's sort of Einstein in that respect, where he just like he has one type of
About?
because
It's
Einstein.
how if it's how you draw the character in the comic books, it's their costume, and that's how you draw Constantine in the comics. Is in that exact outfit.
So you're saying that when he's not on the job, that he puts on something else entirely?
Is that your definition of a costume? No. He just wears he's in his Constantine outfit is what I'm saying.
But then it's just clothes then, right?
Yeah, that's what Constantine wears. Specifically that. It's what if you're cosplaying as
Yes.
Constantine and you wear that outfit, people will get that you're Constantine. But if you cosplay as like as Ray Palmer and you're just wearing the outfit he wore in this episode, no one would guess that you're Ray Palmer. You have to wear like either the Atom suit from the comic books or the Atom suit from Legends.
But by that same token, I am very cognizant of what I wear when I dress. I usually wear some kind of goofy, ironic T-shirt, a hoodie, and shorts.
Guess what? It's your costume.
It's like costume. It's just,
You definitely have a costume because it is always this outfit. It's just like change the colors
Yep.
and the tone, but it is always the hoodie and then like some unique goofy T-shirt underneath.
So I am like a superhero. I'm wearing a costume.
Yes, you're a superhero. We all knew you were a superhero, Frank, from the very beginning.
Now look at Jonathan has been kind enough to put this picture up on the screen. He's not wearing his trench coat.
Yeah, this is
That's
him.
clothes. He's taking it off.
You're right. He does take his Okay, if we go back to your first argument of like, does he take his costume off? Yes. Sometimes he takes the tie off. Sometimes he opens up the button, and sometimes he doesn't wear his trench coat. That's him on his off days.
It is Sunday. I am not...
This is the outfit. That is the costume. He's wearing the costume.
So I'm a superhero. But that's the important thing. The more important thing is the takeaway is that I'm a superhero.
I'm glad we could agree on that one thing. Is that you're a superhero? Can I also talk about my favorite, another favorite moment?
Please.
From this, my creme de beef is what I liked was Gary in this episode. I thought Gary was specifically strong, mostly because of the "Where's my nipple" discussion that we touched upon earlier. We touched upon Gary's nipple earlier, but him just screaming "Where's my nipple" over and again because he lost his memory. I like that. But what I mostly loved is when there was the call from when Ava's. When the call comes in, and he's like, should I take this to a private line just in case there's a bit of a... And he does this hand gesture that's like, he does like, woohoo, instead of doing any sort of sexual move with the hand gesture. It's just like he's holding something in his hand, and then he just waves like a magic hand over it. There's nothing sexual about this. That's my favorite. That's like, in case there's a little bit of a woohoo. It made me laugh out loud. I really like that. I think it was a good job, Gary. That was great. That was my favorite part. That was my favorite part of the episode.
Because there's part of me that was like, where I would look at Gary and Mona as kind of like, all right, they're just like big characters that have kind of risen to a little bit more prominence within the show. But I also feel like, I think, to me, Mona has more legs, I think, as opposed to Gary, which I feel like he's just good for those little bits. So you sprinkle them in.
Gary represents my favorite part of Legends of Tomorrow, which is just the fluid sexuality, but also the goofiness that happens. Like, all that stuff is wrapped up in Gary. He's just all over the place. You don't know what he's going to do next. You don't know what wacky thing. You don't understand why they still have him hired as part of the team. I just like there's like a 60s era Batman quality to Legends of Tomorrow that I want them to embrace more and more. I don't want them to get dark and serious. And I'm always worried they're about to do that. And I really love when they get just wacky and light and fun.
I mean, Gary shows up to his place of work still in his hospital gown.
Yeah.
You know, with the back open.
And he doesn't know who he is, and he's screaming, "Where's my nipple?" That's what the show needs. It needs more, "Where's my nipple?"
There you go. So we do see that, unlike Gary, who we've kind of, we're fine with like what we see of him in the show, what he adds.
Yeah.
This time we get to see a little bit of Mona and her greater life here. We get to see her parents visiting her there in the hospital.
Yeah.
For, I don't know, I mean, I feel like it was very cliche, at least it seemed to me, and I apologize, but kind of cliche, kind of like, oh, all right, we have the just kind of disapproving parents, and then they just check out after like 2 lines, and they're just gone.
Right. And we're seeing why, I think we find out why we're seeing more of the parents, because we're building up this character even further. But I also kind of like the fact that she can't really talk about what her actual job is. They think she's still delivering food.
Yeah.
So, and when she tries to say that, they just think she's just nerding out and being like a spacey nerd. I kind of like that aspect to it. But, like,
One thing I did like was Rory, he was sprinkled in a little bit this episode, but I did like it. Where he goes to his, like, he's using a dark gun thinking it's just a real gun and was happy just to cap anybody.
That was great. That's a good Rory moment, too, where he just shoots, and then, like, Ray's like, "Did you want to shoot her?" And that was good. That was a great moment.
To him, then seeing like, oh, wait, you've read my books. You understand, kind of, what I'm trying to say as an author.
Right.
And then
But he's trying to keep it hidden, too, that he's the author, which is also nice.
Yes, like, how do you know that's what's going to happen in the next book?
I just know.
To helping try to facilitate these 2 people running off together. Or this person and monster.
And I really thought he was going to go through that, and they were going to say goodbyes, and he was going to go off and live in ancient Hawaii, and that was going to be the last we see of him. So when he does get shot in the back, and then she transforms into a monster, totally surprised me. Which is nice to see in a TV show.
Yeah.
Did you suspect that at all?
I did not suspect that. Although, there's a part of me where it's, I guess you want to just forgive the kind of just the contrivances of television. Because we see the Kobe gets shot, the agent comes over, kind of shoos Mona away, and she screams, "You murdered him!" And then does her big Hulk out, or Hulk/wolf out, where the guy does not notice bone snapping and reforming and skin kind of enlarging and tearing and clothes ripping. And it's just like
focused on his work.
It's like, how do you not notice, this thing transforming behind you?
I don't think I would assume that the nice lady is transforming into a monster.
But
I would assume.
If you would hear something, wouldn't you turn around and be like, what is
Have
this?
you ever heard a monster transforming? How do you know it's so loud?
It certainly seemed loud in the
that
episode.
was the music they were playing behind it.
That to hear in the
She went, but for all he knew, she was just like crying weird, and so she's like, I don't like to see women cry. It's a weird thing I had since my childhood and my mom. I don't like to see women cry. So whatever's happening behind me, I would not look at because I don't like to see women cry. And then he gets his guts ripped out.
Yeah.
One assumes because there's blood on a tree.
Yeah, I don't think it was a flesh wound. I think he was a goner.
Where's his nipple? It's on that tree.
It's just she's only after nipples.
That's the one thing I needed at the end was just see a single nipple just hit the tree
And then just
slide down. And then it's like, finally, I see one nipple. Every show has to have one nipple in it.
Well, as we're getting into wrap up, yes.
Perfect segue.
Perfect segue. Fantastic news, though. We've been talking about Legends of Tomorrow, and we're going to get the opportunity to talk about it again for yet another season. Dave Chow's excited about
Love
this.
it.
A nice early renewal for Legends of Tomorrow.
Good. Keep it coming.
So, of course, Green Arrow, we know, is going off the air next season after a 10-episode run. So it's 8th season, 10 episodes. Legends of Tomorrow, this will be season 5 that it's going to be going into.
Yeah.
How long would you like to see Legends of Tomorrow continue?
It's a good question. I want to see it continue until it wants to stop. I feel like as long as it continues being fun and it doesn't fall into the trappings of having to turn it into a series of a show as Arrow and even The Flash right now, I say keep going with it.
Do you think that the CW or even just the Berlanti production team is now looking at where they've kind of set the right now is the ceiling?
I don't think it's going to go past The Flash. I think The Flash is going to go a little further than Legends of Tomorrow.
Do you think the Flash would go past Arrow?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think The Flash is at least going to have, like... That's a good question, though, because they're building up this crisis right now in The Flash, right?
Yes.
So that could be the end, but I doubt it. I
Yeah.
bet it's going to do something else.
I'd be curious to see where if series continue past like the 8th abbreviated season,
Yeah.
whether it's CW, whether it's Flash or the Legends,
Yeah.
Black Lightning, Supergirl, whatever that might be.
Right.
Yeah, but regardless, we're gonna have just at least we know for sure one more season of Legends of Tomorrow. Tanner.
We're never ending. We're never stopping.
As we get to wrap up, a lightning fast prediction about something you want to see sometime before this season finale.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I hope Gary gets a robotic nipple and it has its own superpowers, because now Gary's maybe the only one without some sort of super ability linked to him. So I think what he needs is a cyborg nipple. So that's my prediction: cyborg nipple.
I'm going to predict that. Well, gosh, I can't say it's a prediction, but a hope. I just want to see some more people just in costumes being superheroes.
That's gonna happen. They're just saving it. It's gonna be this big superhero moment, especially at the end of the season. People are gonna be in superhero outfits more.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm scared.
I think those buns will come back out too. Fighting.
There you go. That's going to be his new steel costume, where it's just buttless.
Just the back is open.
That's right. There's two metal cheeks sticking out there, ready to fight crime.
They're not nipples, so it passes the censors.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this episode of the Legends of Tomorrow After Show. Holy cow, we came back.
Wow.
We did it. Boy, just like, we're getting on back like a bicycle or a horse. We just rode it to victory.
And we'll keep riding it into next week.
That's right. So, ladies and gentlemen, until we meet again, like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you, everybody, for hopping in the chat. And if you want to follow either of us, even after the show's over, and chat about whatever is on your mind at that particular time of day, Dave, where can they find you?
They can find me on the Twitter and the Instagram and in your dreams at Mr. Dave Child, or go to davechild.com. Because I'm Dave Child, and you see a lot of videos of me dancing for a lot of people.
That's right. Next week, he's formalizing all the plans for his world tour. He'll announce that next week. Get excited.
I could be dancing right next to you sometime next year.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie. Until next Monday, on another episode of the Legends of Tomorrow After Show. We will miss you. We hope you will miss us. But we'll all meet back here again, 10 p.m. Pacific, right here on AfterBuzz TV.
Hail Bebo.
Speed off.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.